Hello everyone, Adam here again from FourFourTwo. Now, I am back from Christmas and it is that time of the year again. Yes, the time where it's the Africa Cup of Nations and the Asian Cup as well. The Asian Cup ends on the 10th of Feb and the AFCON the 11th of Feb. But if you support a Premier League team, there's a likely chance that one of your players, if not more, will be at those tournaments. And it could affect your team's performance as well. So, as quickly as I possibly can, but as thoroughly as I possibly can, going to try and strike a balance. We're going to go through every single Premier League team, who they're missing for the next few games, what games they're missing, and how it could affect them. So without further ado, let's go. So, starting with Arsenal, Thomas Partey is injured and hasn't really played for Arsenal this season anyway, so he's not going with Ghana. Takahiro Tomiyasu is on Asian Cup duty with Japan, and Mohamed El Neni with Egypt. They've both been sort of squad players, Tomiyasu playing a bit more, but they'll both be missing for the next few games. And really, I mean, in the past, it used to be Aubameyang who was missing on Gabon duty for the AFCON, so they'd be lacking goals, but Arsenal in general are lacking goals anyway. At the moment with Saka, Martinelli and Nketiah, Jesus. So they just need to address that really. They have problems right now in the present, regardless of players leaving. So Arsenal just need to address their current issues regardless of the tournament. So yeah, that is where Arsenal stand right now. Moving on, Aston Villa. Now they're losing one player, and that is Bertrand Traore, who is on duty for Burkina Faso. Of course, a right winger by trade, but that's kind of where Aston Villa are just stacked this season. Leon Bailey and Moussa Diaby, of course, playing that sort of second striker role, but predominantly are right wingers. So I don't think they'll miss Bertrand Traore too much. He's not really played many games this season. They've also got Zaniolo as well, who can play off the right-hand side. So yeah, not much will change for Villa. Long may it continue with them near the top of the table. I did say they could win the league a few weeks ago, but yeah, that was maybe hyperbole. I don't want to end up with egg on my face, and I think I'm going to. So apologies for that, but I think they could get top four. Anyway, long may it continue for Villa. Moving on to the South Coast, where the Cherries, Bournemouth, reside. Now, they're losing two players, Dango Utara and Antoine Semenyo. And realistically, I think Bournemouth now, they've almost, it's not quite a job done, but they've climbed up the table enough to suffice, where they're not going to be dragged into a relegation battle. Lost one in the last 8 games, which is incredibly impressive when you think how poorly Bournemouth started the season. So, given the fact that Iraola's now really ingrained his style into that team, I don't think much will change for the next 4 or 5 fixtures where those two players are missing. So, realistically, Bournemouth again, they won't suffer too much. Brentford next, and here's where it gets interesting because it's 4 players on international duty. Saman Ghoddos, Frank Onyeka and Kim Ji-soo are all on international duty. Of course, Onyeka plays a fair few games. Kim Ji-soo hasn't played for Brentford at all yet and is, of course, a youngster. But the biggest omission is Yohan Wissa because, of course, he's been playing up front in Ivan Toney's absence this season with Brian Mbeumo, who is currently injured. So with those two out the team, Brentford, we're basically going to have to revert back to their old ways because Tony's coming back on the 17th of January very, very shortly. I think we're going to see the Brentford of old come to fruition, and it maybe could benefit Brentford because, you know, the results have dropped off of recent. They started the season in flying form playing those two up top, but now they physically can't do that. They're going to have to start utilising Tony's strengths again, so it'll be interesting to see. I don't think it'll hamper them, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens at Brentford with it all. Brighton next, and they are losing 2 players. They're losing Simon Adringa, who has started the season quite well, really. Again, one of those players who sort of just came from nowhere and is integrating himself into the squad. Looks exciting, but the big omission is Kaoru Mitoma. But the thing is with Brighton, I mean, regardless of who comes in and out of that squad, it's been Caicedo this summer. They spawn another player in. It's now Carlos Baleba this season in that midfield as well. And now Jack Hinshelwood of late as well. So realistically for Brighton, it's just a conveyor belt. It's like whack-a-mole. You whack one down, another player springs back up. So Brighton, they're slightly inconsistent at the moment, and I think that probably will continue. So I think as good as Mitoma is, one of the best wingers in the league, I think Brighton will pretty much stay the same. Draw a few, lose a few, win a few. They're kind of that team at the moment. Moving on swiftly to Burnley. No one's going, guys. So you guys just need to get some points on the board. Not much more to say. So moving on swiftly. Chelsea, and Chelsea will be missing Nicholas Jackson, who has been missing the net for quite a lot this season. Maybe that's a bit harsh. 7 Premier League goals and he's 22 years of age, so I'll cut him some slack. But what is good news for Chelsea is Christopher Nkunku is now back in the team and is, of course, injured. Injured's what he is, Adam. Sorry, my mistake, guys. Yes, I thought Christopher Nkunku was fit at the time of recording, but apparently not. So, yeah, looks like it's Armando Broja leading the line for now if Chelsea want a striker. But, yeah, just to go back to Jackson, I think given the season that they've had and where they are in the table, Chelsea fans, just to be honest, won't really be bothered either way. It's only 4 games without Nicholas Jackson. Not the end of the world. Let's move on. Crystal Palace next, and they are losing one player, and that one player is Jordan Ayew, who is actually the most fouled player in the Premier League this season with 65 fouls committed against him. But nonetheless, he's never been a prolific player, Jordan Ayew, for Crystal Palace. And of course, Elise has been phenomenal of recent, and Eze is now back in the team. But what it could mean is that Mateus Franca, the new Brazilian signing, who Roy Hodgson has touted as being very talented, and many fans of Brazilian football and Palace fans are very excited to see him start playing for Crystal Palace. He could get a run in the team. So actually, it could breed some new excitement into that Crystal Palace side with Jordan Ayew absent. So yeah, we'll wait and see. But Palace will just always be there or thereabouts in mid-table. So that will continue. Everton, of course, having a weird season in that sort of relegation dogfight despite winning many games and playing well because of that points deduction, but they are losing Idrissa Gueye, who's on Senegal duty. However, what is interesting is Abdoulaye Doucouré should have been going to Mali duty for the Africa Cup of Nations, but he has actually said that he wants to stay at Everton, so he's refusing to go to the AFCON. He wants to stay and help Everton fight to stay up in the Premier League, really, which he did last season, bailed them out with that last goal of the season against Bournemouth at home. So, of course, the fans' favourite, a toffee through and through. So, Abdoulaye Doucouré is not going because he wants to stay on Merseyside and help Everton in the relegation dogfight. So, yeah, respect, can't knock it, really. Fulham next. Now, Fulham are losing 3 players. They're losing Calvin Bassey, Alex Iwobi, and Fode Ballo-Touré. So 2 centre-backs and then a forward/8 in Iwobi. But Fulham are one of them teams, I mean, they'll always be there or thereabouts. And I think it's quite underrated, the actual level of squad depth Fulham have for a mid-table club. Despite losing Iwobi in the forward line, they've got Decordova-Reid, they've got Jimenez, they've got Wilson, they've got Willian, they've got Adama Traore. So they've got a real wealth of Premier League experience, which will just absolutely be enough to keep them winning games. So I suspect Fulham will be okay. Losing 2 centre-backs is tough, but Fulham will be fine. Liverpool next. Now, don't panic. I know it's been a crisis. You're losing Mo Salah. Liverpool fans are used to this, and I think Jurgen Klopp is as well. And he's also just proved that by winning at the Emirates without him straight off the bat. I think arguably the bigger cause for concern with this is that Wataru Endo is on Japan duty, and Japan are of course the favourites to win the Asian Cup. He's their only out-and-out 6, so they're probably going to be forced to play McAllister there more often, who's maybe not as physical or gritty. And I'm not saying Endo's a world beater, but he fills a hole in that team that other players can't quite. And he's been playing really well of late, so Jurgen Klopp's going to have to address that in the league, I think, if Liverpool are to keep winning games, because I think they've got enough firepower up front to carry the weight that Salah was carrying when he was there. And I think they also owe it to Mo Salah to still be in the title hunt in 5 games' time. So I suspect, despite it being branded a crisis, because Mo Salah's one of the best players in the world, I think Liverpool will be okay. So don't panic, Reds. Luton next, and Luton are losing 1 player, and that player is Issa Kabore, who's actually quite a big loss to Luton as well, really. Luton tend to play the same-ish 11 every single week in, week out. With Doughty and Issa Kabore in those wing-back positions, Luton's game plan this season has heavily been based on set pieces and also floating balls into the back post to Adebayo, who's had that hang time to score aerial goals. So Luton will be losing out on Kabore a bit, but again, Luton have just got to grind out points. It don't matter who they've got on the pitch. They've just got to find a way this season, and I think they'll continue to do that. Manchester City, well, they are losing no one. This is Pep's evil master plan. He sold Mahrez now, and he's got Doku coming back, Haaland coming back, De Bruyne coming back. So, yeah, rest of the league should probably panic because the weird evil genius has been probably planning this for quite some time. So, no players going to the AFCON or Asia Cup for City. They have a fully fit squad. Manchester United, now they are losing Sofiane Amrabat to Morocco duty and Andre Onana to Cameroon duty, but he has insisted, Andre Onana, that he wants to go after January the 14th, after he's played at Tottenham away. So he's going to play against Wigan in the FA Cup and then Tottenham away in the league. I don't know why he's insisted on staying, but he has. And then Cameroon's first game of the tournament is actually 24 hours later. So that guy's not going to get any sleep, and he's going to be playing 2 games back-to-back in 2 days. The only interesting thing it could bring for Manchester United is that Altay Bayındır, their new Turkish goalkeeper, could get a run in the squad. So it'd be interesting. Of course, he's not going to displace Onana, but it'd be interesting to sort of compare and contrast how both keepers perform in that back line and whether one instills more confidence than the other, shall we say. But yeah, Onana gone for a month and also Amrabat. So let's just see what happens at United, because honestly, do you even know anymore? No. Do I? No. There seems to be no script anymore. It is chaos there. So yeah, that's probably going to continue. Newcastle next, and count your lucky stars, Newcastle fans, because you have no players going to the AFCON or Asia Cup. However, you do have 58,276 injuries though, so yeah. Nottingham Forest, they are losing 6 players, so let's reel them off. Serge Aurier, Willy Bolly, Ibrahim Sangare, Cheku Kouyaté, Moussa Niakate and Ola Aina. They're all on AFCON duty, and I mean, it could actually be a bit of a blessing in disguise for Nuno in a weird way, because he's just come through the door. He's got 2 wins in the Premier League at Newcastle and at home to Manchester United, but of course he's got an absolutely massive squad, so to shred it down by default for a few match days could actually help Nuno, you know, tinker with some new players and find players that he actually likes within that sea of players who are training every single day. So in a way, obviously, I think Forest will be fine this season in the Premier League, but it might just help Nuno refine the squad and pick some new favourites maybe for the games moving forward and potentially next season as well. So I think actually, in a weird way, despite the fact they're losing first-team players, it could actually, with a new manager coming in, benefit Forest a little bit in a kind of weird, counter-intuitive way. I think it could potentially benefit Forest. Sheffield United, they're losing Anis Ben Slimani and Yasser Larouci, so 2 players, not really much to say because those lads, bottom of the league, they just need to get some players in and win some games, and they've just signed Brereton Diaz, which is a positive for them because he was very, very good in the Championship for Blackburn, didn't really hit it off with Villarreal, but a good player to get in nonetheless. Sheffield United and Chris Wilder just need some more points on the board. It can't really get any worse. And I think Chris Wilder's actually got them playing a little bit better, so I think things can only look up for Sheffield United regardless. Tottenham now, an interesting one, and also why I've had to slightly re-record this video, because Timo Werner's actually joined them now, despite Son Heung-min going to Asia Cup duty. They're also losing Pape Sarr and Yves Bissouma as well, who are quite big omissions as well. But of course, let's talk about Son. He's been the focal point of that Spurs attack for many, many years, even when Harry Kane was there, of course, because Kane had dropped deep. Son had running behind. Son was always at the end of most of the attacks, the one who was tasked with putting the ball in the net when he was in the box. He is gone, and he statistically got the best shot conversion in the league this season with 22%, so you cannot say, you can't dress it up that that is not going to be a huge miss for Spurs. They've replaced him for the meanwhile, and also for the games continuing till the end of the season, with a player who isn't really known for his shot conversion in Timo Werner, but has similar attributes in terms of being a archetypal road runner who can sort of run in behind and stretch the pitch and stretch defenders. So I actually do think it's a good sign-in for Spurs, this one. And I think, you know, look, after that Chelsea game where Spurs were down to 9 men and got injuries and, you know, had a very, very depleted squad for certain match days after that, they lost a lot of games. They're going to have a more depleted squad with these tournaments going on, so Postecoglou and Spurs have just kind of got to ride the wave with this one and stay in touching distance of the top 4, and I think probably, given the standard of the league at the moment, I think they'll be able to do that. But Son, of course, a huge miss. West Ham, now this one's actually interesting because Paquetá has just got injured, and of course now Kudus, who has been for me possibly the signing of the summer, is on Ghana duty. So that leaves a lot of attacking burden on Jarrod Bowen's very capable shoulders, but shoulders nonetheless. Of course, Fornals and Benrahma can play out wide as well, but they don't really have that X factor that Kudus has showcased that he's got this season for West Ham. They're losing Naya Fagerd as well to Morocco duty. So that is 2 players, 2 very good players that West Ham will be missing. But David Moyes always seems to find a way, and he's really, really performing well this season, particularly, you know, with that pivot of Alvarez and Souček and then Ward-Prowse. I think they'll be fine, but Kudus, again, a big, big miss for West Ham. And finally, Wolves. Now, they are missing Hwang Hee-chan, who has got 10 Premier League goals this season, which is more than Ollie Watkins and Alexander Isak. Ollie Watkins, by the way, who, yes, in that Villa video a few weeks ago, I did say was world class. Again, I apologise, I take that back. He's a very good player, but again, I need to stop getting carried away. Hwang, though, is not far off world class at the moment for Wolves, and then you ask the question, well, who replaces that goal-scoring prowess while he's gone? Is it Pedro Neto? Well, no, he's got 1 goal this season. He can be good in front of goal, but he's more of a creative outlet for Wolves. And then Sasha Kalajdzic has just, I think I've said that right, has just gone on loan to Eintracht Frankfurt. So he was, of course, the tall focal point target man striker in that team who used to come on and get a few aerial goals. He's gone as well, so perhaps for Gary O'Neill the goals will dry up. He's also losing Ryan Ait-Nouri as well, which is a big blow because he is probably their best left-back. It's him and Johnny who rotate in that team. However, I think Wolves will be okay. Gary O'Neill's doing an amazing job there, and he's very pragmatic and very good at stifling opposition teams' strengths. So I think he'll continue doing that, and he'll just find a way for the next 4 games. But Wolves, of course, are having a great season, really, given the circumstances. I think a lot of people tipped Wolves for relegation at the start of the year, and I think they'll be fine, largely because of Hwang. But yeah, they'll be wanting him to come back very, very soon as possible, because he is a fantastic player. Oh, right, I've absolutely rattled through that. I've gone through every team there. That is every player who is going on international duty in the next 4 or 5 games. So if you support a Premier League team, there you go. They're the players who you'll be missing. If you support someone like Rayo Vallecano, I don't know why you've watched this video, but there we go. Anyway, though, you can let me know what team you think will be affected most by the AFCON and the Asian Cup in the comments down below. Don't forget to subscribe. I've been Adam Monk. I'll see you very soon. Have a lovely day. Goodbye.